back to podcast number 2, the follow-up conversation with Ripi. And here we go.
Thank you, Matt. Glad to be here again. I mean, last time was so much fun. We disagreed on several things,
Yeah.
but in the end,
Yeah.
we actually felt that we were looking at the same elephant with different experiences, and we're
Yeah.
touching and feeling the different parts of
And
this
maybe
monster that we need to come together. And,
Yeah.
and that's the case with most of the people. Everyone is almost correct in their perspective about digital transformation, Industry 4.0, but everyone is also incomplete in their
Yeah.
understanding, right?
Yeah.
So if we actually open up our minds and have a conversation like this,
Yeah.
we'll all benefit.
Yeah, and we're also in the middle of it too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And we don't
you
know
can
what
look
it would
back
be.
at Industry 2.0 and say,
Yeah.
okay, that's what that was.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
right now we're in the middle of it. so-
Right. In talking about middle of them, like people say, we were transformed. Actually, I don't even know what fully transformed thing looks like.
Yeah.
I can't define 100%. So I don't know where we are in our journey. All of us are at a different stage with no clear destination.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
So let's get back to Industry 4.0 for a second, because I want to see if we can get aligned on what it is. I'll tell you my.
I think
Are you-
you should align with someone who knows where they're going.
No, I mean, I think the Industry 3.0. This is my view. Is basically the digital systems, and it was mainframe computers to desktop computers to the internet to cloud servers and smartphones, all kind of connected and able to talk to themselves. And I would say that cloud computing and cell phone was kind of like
3.5.
it was like kind of coming in towards the end of 3.0. And then 4 is basically the stuff that comes next. I think artificial intelligence and neural nets are the obvious, and then cryptocurrencies, wherever the heck that. Digital ledgers, I think, are interesting. That's an interesting area. And then there's augmented reality and the stuff that's happening in kind of the, a lot of stuff that's happening in biology and life sciences, the feedback loop that you were talking about. But I think it's kind of like, this is the infrastructure. We built a digital infrastructure. And now we're going to build another generation of stuff and on top of that. And I think the vision and clarity of what that looks like in 10 years is kind of like, in my view, anybody's guess. I think there'll be some things that surprise us. And there'll be a Google type company that comes along that doesn't even exist yet. And they're going to use this infrastructure to build some technology that, kind of becomes essential, and we don't even know how to describe it yet. That's the bigger picture of where I think 4.0 is. I think on the coaching side, like with what you do, it sounds like you're more like, let's not get carried away with these cool tools. Let's think more about this in a kind of company and human framework, I guess. But I don't know, how does that sound to you in terms of the concept of 4.0?
So you and I are not aligned yet.
Okay, good.
Okay. So the way I look at digital penetration of any ecosystem, 3.0 was actually about digital devices.
Okay.
And I even bucket AI at 3.0.
Okay.
Okay. When you talk about devices, equipment, whether typewriter being replaced by a word processor with a little memory in it, or whether with a digital calculator or something, film camera being replaced by a digital camera, when a device changed, that was really 3.0. Devices, pieces of equipment are used by humans following certain procedures. So you have a little process that starts here, ends here. It has some inputs, it has some outputs. If you can take that entire process and you can automate the whole thing with digital inputs, people who are using it, they engage with the process digitally, both in terms of understanding where the process is and controlling the process. That's called digitalization. I don't want to call it 3.4, but it is beyond 3 and not yet 4. Now, in a company or even at home in a family, if you take various processes, let's say manufacturing process, and we talk about smart manufacturing, you digitalize that process. You got a smart factory. It's essentially a digitalized manufacturing. You go to your marketing and sales department and you find out they're using CRM. They have digitalized the entire business development side of it. HR has digitalized the employee intake, training, exit. They have digitalized it. Finance digitalizes there all the way from accounts payables to receivables to. But if these are all isolated processes, they are all digitalized, the company is not yet transformed. They have not reached 4.0. When these individual digitalized processes are connected digitally, then you talk about company being digitally transformed. Like the book that I can get in a week's time.
Right.
I can go from content to getting my content, grammar and everything else taken care of, submitted for printing, processing, cleaning, shipping. All of that is all digitally connected, and there's no one in between. That's how I can get it over a weekend. That is digitally transformed.
Right.
Where HR is not sending an email to the finance saying, "What salary did you agree upon this guy?" Right? No. When CEO, and you ask him a question, how much balance do you have in this one? He doesn't have to pick up the phone or send a text message to the CFO to find out. Although CFO was fully digitalized, but the CEO is not in the loop and has to send an email or a text message, company is not yet transformed. So the philosophy of 4.0, truly a digitally transformed business, is when each of these digitalized processes are connected with each other.
Mm-hmm.
You brought in biology. Let's keep that aside for a second. I'll come to that later. Now, a digitally transformed company, if that is connected with a digitally transformed supplier through email, then you have a 4.0 company with a 4.0 company connected with a 3.0 connection.
Right.
So trying to get your entire supply chain digitally connected is what will transfigure the ecosystem.
Right.
And that is like the 4.0 of the ecosystem, not necessarily the company. So the way to look at it is, how is digital penetrating from a digital device to a process, to a company, to a supply chain, to an ecosystem level where suppliers on one side and consumers on the other side are also digitally connected. Now, consumers could be B2C. Go back to your home. Slowly and slowly, your devices at home are getting connected with each other. Right? But a lot of your processes in the house are, thankfully, they are humans because I want to live there. I don't want my house to be automated and me in the grave. but ecosystem changing digitally to a point where a good example of a truly 4.0 thing, think about, is how you make your vacation planning.
Yeah.
One website, you can book your flight, rental car, hotel, this ticket, that ticket, all, and get paid through single credit card. And then you keep getting emails saying time for check-in. You check in, your boarding pass comes to you, you go, you show that to the TSA, you go in over there. That's transformation. Okay, so that's the penetration. So theoretically, there's nothing called pure 3.0. There's nothing called pure 4.0. It's a change in between.
Yeah, it's gradual.
But at some point, you feel the difference.
Right.
I'll give you another short example, and this one is from Simon Sinek. He asked a question: do you love your wife? Do you love your wife?
Yeah.
Do you know which date you fell in love with her?
No.
Exactly. That's the point. Because giving a gift to a girl when you start dating is like a device equivalent.
Yeah.
Taking her out on a date, planning in advance, go pick her up from the house, take her to a restaurant, give her a good meal, then give her a little gift, and then drop her back, and then have a follow-up call, and second date, third date, fourth date. Okay, that's equivalent to digitalization. One day you realize you're in love. That's the day your relationship has transformed.
So what would you say to, let's go get back to business for a second. So like where you were saying, these, buyers automating their buying from their suppliers. So supplier has products, a distributor wants those products. There's an automation between the two. And there's a system in place that's looking at the rate of acquiring these products, it becomes automated at some point, and they're doing it through some kind of API, purchasing program. There's some businesses that are going to trade shows, bringing their samples, signing maybe an agreement or having a follow-up call, getting back to their office, calling up a distributor saying, hey, did you guys saw our products at the trade show? You'd be interested in those? Yeah, send us some more samples. They get the samples. Okay, we'll do a purchase. They do a purchase. It's all over the phone. There's all, print catalogs. There's no online purchasing. There's no EDI systems. There's no APIs. And they've been doing it that way for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. What's broken?
Nothing is broken.
Yeah.
Everything does not have to be digital all the time. The 1.0 stuff still exists.
Right.
Pre 1.0 stuff still exists. We still do horse riding.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we still have scrolls.
Yeah.
Some people try to send smoke signals.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that's how we're doing business.
Yeah. That doesn't mean how we're doing.
Right.
So in this scenario that you explained, the turn time is longer. The resiliency is lower.
But would you say
Is there an
risk?
opportunity
Would
to
you
change?
say they're at risk?
Absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely yes.
Right.
Because the next generation of workforce is not going to behave that way.
No.
Their expectations are different.
Yeah. Their buyers won't
Yeah.
want to buy that way
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. See, we have to also realize that the generation that's growing up, that's coming into workforce now, their expectations are different with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Company actually, if you don't change, you can't retain the employees today. Because employees have expectations as to how they want to work, how they want to engage with customers, how they want to engage with peers.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect.
Have you put thought into this kind of reshoring concept? Let's talk about Connecticut for a second, because I know that was something you wanted to touch on. You and I have probably been to some of the same events and heard the same kind of talk. Connecticut's going to become more digitally advanced in the manufacturing sector. There's a lot of forces at work, global and policy forces that are macro forces, I would say, that are going to put dollars and incentives into reshoring of manufacturing. So there's a goal, I think a big goal, to try to bring back some of these manufacturing jobs. I guess from what your perspective, do you think that is going to happen? Do you think that's real? And that there'll be a net increase in manufacturing jobs? Or do you think there'll be more high-tech manufacturing, and maybe there'll be a greater manufacturing output, but it's not really going to result in more jobs?
We will not have jobs increasing in manufacturing in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah.
And actually, we should not. We should not aspire that. We should not try for that. I'll tell you the thing. The largest manufacturing sector in Connecticut is actually defense.
Mm-hmm.
And defense needs to completely digitally transform just to be able to compete with the rest of the world. Not talking or citing any product, but if a particular defense product here today takes 5 years, and if our adversary can do it in 3 years, can we maintain global superiority that way?
Right.
And if we have to get to 3 years, then we have to achieve same or more automation than our adversaries. And that's not going to happen by hiring people. Second thing, we don't have people who are willing to do this job.
That's true.
Right?
I know. Yeah.
And there are a lot of jobs in the country which are being done by people who may not be legal aliens. And, in the coming years, we're going to have a little bit of a
little dust up
on that side as well, which means the available workforce is further going to reduce. The pressure to produce faster is going to increase.
Right.
The cost to make it affordable is going to increase. What choices do we have?
Right.
I don't see a choice. I didn't see it 10 years ago.
So hypothetically, this factory that you were talking about that's completely unmanned. So let's say it's a, I don't know, let's throw a number out there. Let's say it's a 40,000 square foot factory and there's not a human being in it. What's the human's role now in that factory?
What do they say? Let's go by the same joke that exists. There's a man and a dog.
Yeah,
Right? Man is there to feed the dog. Dog is there to make sure man doesn't touch the machine.
yeah,
Right? I think the role of humans, first thing, is to be able to design those things.
yeah,
Right? They will not be on the shop floor, but they will be on the oversight piece.
right,
There will be reviews around product design, product manufacturing, around changes that are outside of the parameters. There will be human role, but at a much, much higher level than actually designing tools and making parts and
yeah,
doing things like that, right? And then there'll be opportunities around, in fact, programming is also going towards AI, so I don't know how much of that will happen.
yeah. I know. I know. I think a lot of people are worried that the manufacturing jobs aren't going to come back. The programmers are going to be replaced by AI. You know, where are the jobs coming from? I mean, unemployment's pretty good right now, but I know this with the internet. Like I said,
I have a question for you.
my mom had a publishing company and she went out of business, and so there was an industry of people printing up these magazines that no one wanted anymore.
Mhm.
But for every job lost
Mhm.
in that sector, there were
Mhm.
probably as many or not more jobs in the industry I was in.
Mhm.
So they just went from one industry to the other.
Exactly.
And it was hard to see at that time, like in the early 1990s, that this internet thing was going to take off and create all these jobs that we didn't even know how to explain what they were.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think that that's with Industry 4.0, that same thing is going to happen?
Absolutely, yes. The
Okay.
jobs will not go away, the skills become obsolete.
Right.
You now need new skills to do things at a higher level. The same logic happened even in Industry 1.0, when
Right.
everybody in the house was doing weaving
Farmer,
to
yeah.
make cloth.
Right.
And we said, oh, if you have factories making fabric, what do all these weavers do? What are all the wives going to do at home? Well, they found something else. And at that time, we only used to have 2 shirts or 3 shirts per head. Now we throw away 3 shirts every 3 months and get
Yeah.
new ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the consumption goes up, the volume goes up. I saw the advent of computers.
Yeah.
I was in India and we used to have strikes after strikes because people said their jobs will disappear. The number one economy in India was because of the computers. The whole country changed because of the computers. So some people saw that, pushed it. The point is we can see the job disappearing. We cannot see the job appearing.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And nobody helps us visualize that.
Yeah.
And we make a hype out of jobs will go away because somebody needs that thing in the news media to sell the news.
Yeah. I think the thing that concerns me, and there's lots of reasons to be concerned. There's also lots of reason to be optimistic, I think, about where things are going. The rate of change is faster than it was before. And I think that, let's just say that that's a truth. I don't know. You might disagree with me, but I kind of believe that to be true.
Can I twist that statement?
Yeah.
The rate of change that you're seeing today is the slowest you will see for the rest of your life.
I agree with that. So it's getting faster, right? Right. So they've tried this thing where, like, we're losing manufacturing jobs, and a lot of the policymakers are like, we'll just retrain people, just retrain them. And now, looking back on these kind of retraining concepts or projects, they didn't work. They didn't work very well. Like, it's hard to take a factory worker who's done that for 20 years and say, oh no, you're just going to become a web developer. Like, it doesn't work. Maybe I'm being cynical, but there's not a lot of examples of this working well. So now, if you're having this disruption and the rate is increasing, you have people that were doing one thing for 10 years, and now they're going to have to pivot and do something else in a different way. My concern is that the change is so fast that people won't be able to keep up with it in terms of their skill sets, right?
No, it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
You and I have pivoted several times in our careers.
I know. I wish I would have been a stonemason. I could have just made stones my whole life.
My father did one job, and I think if his generations, for 5 generations, they were doing
the same
just
job.
the same thing, farming one thing. My father, one job, one career. I could still say one career in technology management,
Yeah.
but three different, academics, business,
Yeah.
private practice.
Yeah.
And the next one, it's faster. Kids come up to me whenever I give a talk at a university. Kids will come up to me. What's the most important skill I should develop today? Because I'll graduate in 3 years, and if my skill will become obsolete at that point, will I have a job if I do this? What's the most important skill? The most important skill is to develop a new skill.
Yeah. Learn how to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Okay. There is a famous phrase. What is it? Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Jack of all trades. Yeah.
Is what?
Master of none.
Let me rephrase that one also for you.
Yeah.
Jack of all trades is master of learning.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I mean, my as a parent, it was all what I tried to teach them is learn how to learn, and if you can do it, have an inquisitive mind. I don't know how you teach someone to have an
I agree
inquisitive
with
mind.
that. We are
have
aligned.
an inquisitive
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity,
Yeah.
creativity, hard work, ethics.
Yeah.
Hold on to these four.
Yeah.
You will not
and
fail.
then try to be self-sufficient. Don't necessarily. This is my bias. Maybe this is my particular to me, but learn how to fix things. Learn how to solve problems. You
Again,
don't
I'm
always
not
need
sure-
to call somebody else in and be like,
I'm not sure about self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
I think mutual dependence is perfectly fine. Now, having a network of things that I can do for something else, somebody else can do for
Yeah, and
somebody,
then you
somebody else
trade
can,
'em.
right?
Yeah.
Is actually, might support
Creates
your
harmony.
optimization theory before because
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm okay with mutual dependence.
I mean, this is why I like trade. I like business and trade is because if countries are trading, if I'm trading with you, you're going to help me, fix my computer, and I'm going to fix your electricity. Then we're in it together, right?
Yeah.
We're helping each other
Yeah.
out. The same thing with global trade.
Yeah.
If I'm trading with China and China's trading with me, and we need each other, well, we're not starting a war with China.
So
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a joke.
Yeah.
A guy was praying to God, please give me $1 million so I don't have to go to work.
Yeah.
And every day he's praying, and then one day God says, tomorrow morning you will have $1 million.
Yeah.
So he's all excited. He wakes up in the morning and there's no power in the house, and he sees the phone's not working. He pulls the car out, goes, gas station is closed, and he's saying, am I dreaming or what? And he asks God, what happened? God said, I gave everybody $1 million. Now no one's working. So you see, we go to work because we are actually doing something meaningful for somebody else.
For somebody else, right? Yeah, that's good.
It's very interesting. We have to think away from a transactional connection to an ecosystem growth.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, that's a bigger transformation that we need to be focused on than optimization and AI and all that. These things come and go. AI, like I said, AI is a device.
Yeah.
AI is at 3.0 level to me.
Yeah.
But how you use AI, wrap it in the process, and connect the process with others, and how it forecasts and allows you to take business action, a meaningful outcome. That is what wraps the whole thing.
So you think the whole ecosystem of technology and AI and Industry 4.0, you think humans will always be the focus? They'll always be the center, the most important component of that?
Will humans be the focus? No. Should humans be the focus all the time? Absolutely yes.
But you worry that they will.
We worry that the business incentives drive 1% of the people to take everyone else's focus on something else. We just get distracted.
Yeah.
By shiny toys.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting time. You brought about biology. That is the next frontier. Mm-hmm. Like we said, 2 was about materials, 3 was about data, 4 is about data and materials, digital, physical coming together. We are already seeing confluence of biology with physics. We're seeing biology with digital. We are seeing digital with physical. When digital, physical, biological, they combine, to me, that would be the next revolution.
Yeah.
So the kind of studies that we do on a 5.0, what would that look like? We are actually putting biology into digital physical systems to cause the next revolution.
Yeah, It's kind of scary to think about it,
Yeah.
to be
So the
honest.
digital penetration, the digital evolution was 3. The digital penetrates the physical world is 4. And then when the digital
Yeah.
penetrates the biological world and the physical world, it becomes 5. And that would change the.
Yeah. People talk about space exploration, Mars. So when are we going to colonize Mars? And I say, human beings are not colonizing Mars. Our robots might be colonizing Mars. We might have a digital physical footprint, but why would we send a biological human being up there? What's the cost benefit analysis of sending a human being to Mars is like
And
you could send a robot up there that's weighs 2 ounces, that's super, that has a camera and sensors, and you can learn more about Mars than sending up a human being, which would take 1,000 times the
we do
resources.
things that we need to do. We do things that we want to do. I think going to Mars is more like some people want to.
Yeah, it's
than
like
we need to, right?
Yeah, it's a passion project.
Yeah. Does human? But on the other side, we might get to a point where we screw up this planet so very badly.
God, I hope not. Ugh. All right, so we should end this on a positive note. Let's just.
What do you mean? What
we
were we
don't-
talking up until now?
Well, I don't want to end it on if we screw up the planet. No, I think so.
Exactly.
My projections that I've read are, we're going to have peak growth in population by 2080. So we're 55 years away from, I think, 10.5 million, and then we're going to start to come down. Those are the projections. They could be wrong, right? But I think with the stuff that we're doing now, I think, obviously the planet's going to be okay. I think humans are going to, obviously keep evolving. Our technology is going to keep evolving. But, I'm a technologist. I'm a humanist, but I believe in these technologies as being transformative, and I think they can help us. And I think they can solve some of our climate issues. I think we'd be stupid not to try to use technology to help in that area. But I think, like, my grandkids, if I have grandchildren, they'll be my age in 2080, right? It's a very different world. Very different world. But could be amazing.
You know that in Connecticut we make a product which will go into the 22nd century?
Yeah, what's that?
So Connecticut, did we close on that conversation? Is the
No, we
manufacturing
didn't.
jobs going to go up? So manufacturing jobs are not likely to go up, and they should not go up. And if they're going up, then we are in a bigger trouble nationally than we should be. I think the focus in Connecticut should be around building digital infrastructure, which we don't have.
Right.
Connecting companies, manufacturing, supply chain for the defense sectors to a point where they get digitally connected so that we can significantly reduce the cycle time for developing a new product, weapon system, whatever you want to call it. That's what the country needs today. And I don't know who in the state is actually trying to address that. We talk about workforce. We should be talking about digital infrastructure. We talk about funding small programs to small businesses. We should talk about connecting small businesses and educating their CEOs and the board members on what it means to build a digitally transfigured ecosystem to support the 3 major defense suppliers in the state. I don't know who's doing it. It worries me.
Yeah, that's probably much more your area of expertise. Like, I'm not really, my agency, we're not really in the enterprise. We're in, manufacturing, supply chain, distribution. But it's more consumer goods.
Yeah, but manufacturing, supply chain, distribution, stuff that should come out of one OEM and should go through 3 suppliers and come back with value-added services or getting materials somewhere. I mean, that is so far away from being digitalized at the moment.
I agree. That's where we're working.
And that's
the space we're in. That's what we're trying.
And who's working on the digital infrastructure for that?
Well, give me an example of what digital infrastructure you're talking
I
about.
wish I knew that, but let's take the example from the 3rd or the 2nd revolution. You can give everybody a fast car, but if you don't build highways, what use is that fast car?
Right. But won't we inherit some of that infrastructure? I mean,
From whom? the 3 or 4 things that come to my mind for that digital infrastructure: one is connectivity, bandwidth. Second is data format, so that you can actually, machines can talk to each other
Yeah.
in a manner. Third is the governance piece of it, cybersecurity piece of it.
Yeah.
And then I talk about ethics in that. I mean, there are bigger issues to really get your hands around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the private sector is going to bring stuff to the table. I don't know that it needs to be like a top-down solution.
Oh, the infrastructure and the governance has to come from nonprofits or government. I have not heard Ford or GM build roads and bridges.
Yeah.
That's the government's job.
Yeah.
They don't develop driver's lessons. They don't develop traffic lights. They don't develop. Private companies build cars. They have insurance companies. They build gas plants. They have gas stations. They have repair stations. But they don't make highways. They don't make
So
driver's
you're
lessons.
envisioning some kind of digital infrastructure that's native to Connecticut that helps the supply chain for.
It doesn't have to be native to Connecticut. Somewhere in the country, somewhere in the world, it should happen. We should embrace it if it is happening.
Mhm.
But if we are the defense sector and we are the leading defense industry here in the state, should we be in the leading position to do that?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ripi. Thanks again for being here.
Absolutely, player.
Anytime. Hope to
Sure.
have you back soon. Thanks for listening to the podcast. That's Verado.com. Catch it on all your podcast players where podcasts are.
And I'm still waiting the content for my book.
Okay. Thank you.